Hello and welcome to Mandatory Funtime Channel. I am your host, Shagito, and today I am here with Zarnold Zarninsky, the Zarn Master.
What's up?
Hello. Hold on, let me turn you up a little bit. You might be a little low.
All right, all right.
Yeah. I think I was like trying to do something the other day, and you guys were all talking, having like conversations and stuff.
And you were like, man, I really can't be having that.
Yeah, I just want to hang with y'all. I don't want to listen to y'all. Um, all right. So, hey, as the title may suggest, we're gonna be doing some world building here. We're gonna be trying something that I haven't done before. I mean, I've done it on a smaller scale, but I've never done anything like this big and ambitious. And I don't know, maybe it's too big, it's too ambitious, maybe it's too fast, too furious, and it's gonna fail. But I don't know, man. I want to give it a try, and I think we're gonna have a good time trying it out. And if anyone out there is watching this and wants to give some advice or some ideas, like they want to donate that to this world, I will definitely happily take it and throw it in there, especially if it sounds awesome. But essentially, we are going to be world building for three different systems within one world. So. It's gonna be mainly Daggerheart, Shadowdark, and D&D5e. Those are the three systems.
hmm
And now just like everything in my life, I have no idea what I'm doing, and that's why I have Zarna here because I think he might be able to help.
Possibly, it's possible. The scale of it of what you're trying to do here looks really interesting, and it's far beyond anything I've done because I usually just ran campaigns for murder hobos, and as long as you have a good start, you can kind of just let them build the world for you if you're lucky.
Hmm.
But kind of like let's break that down. Like what's so ambitious about this? Obviously, building a world or a universe, really, if you look at it, in for three different game systems doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But one of the things that I noticed about like kind of the outline that you gave me is that each system takes place or is going to be used in a different time in the history of that universe.
Yeah.
And so it would seem that like if you're running 5e, it takes place during this first era, right? And
Hmm.
then if you're running Shadowdark, that's later on in the history of the universe, and that what happens in the 5e is gonna change the world of Shadowdark, and then Daggerheart following that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If I run some D&D campaigns in this world and they do something crazy, it's going to affect the future, and I'll have to figure out how. But like, I want it to be actually meaningful. Um,
Right.
Especially if they do something in Shadowdark, because that's going to have a direct representation. Like, that's going to be a quicker representation of world change to the Daggerheart map than anything else. But of course, anything massive, we get to
hmm
the end of an epic campaign. Maybe you guys do defeat the bad guy, maybe you don't. Either way, though, it's going to change what happens, what I'm going to have planned for that happens later on in Shadowdark, which then could, kind of ripple effect and change something in the Daggerheart campaign.
Right. And I think that that's a really, really, really cool idea. I
Hmm.
also think it could be difficult, at least at first, finding a way to do it. However, on the back end of that, in the future, like years and years and years down the road, if you keep this going, you'll get to a point where you know how everything's connected and you know so much about it because you're keeping everything in the same universe that eventually it will just become really easy for you
Yeah,
and
exactly.
coming up with content for your players. So it's like a heavy investment up front
Right. Yep.
so that so then in the future you have really easy you can just easily put something together because you know everything about this world.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Like that's the main goal of this is just to be like I want to be lazy later and I want to do a lot of work right now. So,
Yeah. I think that makes sense. So I guess I probably would be a good idea to go through the different eras, I guess you would call them. Yeah.
yeah.
Go through the different areas, explain what system is going to be for that era, and kind of like what each era has going for it, kind of as a baseline already. That like with the outline that you kind of gave me.
Right. Yeah. So, what we got going on right here is what I have on the screen. The years and what they relate to. From year one all the way to 7,890. That's going to be the Dungeons and Dragons era. Now we'll come up with better names, but this is just for ease for us to be like, all right, during this time, this is when we're going to be playing D&D 5th edition or 6th
Hmm.
edition or whatever's about to come out and shit. So we got that there. We'll rename that era something spicy, something neat.
Yeah,
Um, and then
salacious.
from there, we have the breach, which we can touch on a little bit, but that's going to be from 7,890 to 10,890. This isn't right now. This isn't really a playable kind of thing. This is just a cataclysm because when you're doing three systems, they have three different types of magic, gods, everything that are different from each other. You're gonna have to
Hmm.
have some sort of cataclysm or world-changing events.
So my question about that is, the breach is not a game system. It's not a TTRPG system.
That's correct. It just
Okay, so it's just an era. So what? Okay, what system were you planning on using for the breach?
nothing. As of right now, it's just like history, lore, and stuff like that. If there's another system that comes out, or if I want to use maybe Shadowdark for that area, or I could do like a super dark Daggerheart, I guess, or something. But I don't know. Maybe all three can be played in this time frame. But
Ooh,
like the whole
that's spicy.
yeah. The whole reason I came up with like the breach and everything is from Vampire Hunter D, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
I have seen it a couple times. It's one of the best movies ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you guys like anime movies, especially some of the like kind of hyper gory ones that have really good stories though, check out Vampire Hunter D. The first one came out in like the 80s. The animation is, old anime kind of stuff, but the story and everything is super cool. And then the
Yeah.
one called Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, amazing like masterpiece animation. The story is fucking awesome, and you just get to learn more about, this world that friggin' this vampire hunter named D hunts vampires in.
So is the breach kind of taking place in like a world that feels like that?
Yeah,
That's
like,
got that ambiance, that style.
well, so in Vampire Hunter D lore, I think it was 1999, nuclear holocaust, friggin' the sun kind of went away for a little bit and the vampires rose up and they took dominance over the world. And for I think it's like 10,000 years or something, but for
Hmm.
10,000 years, vampires reigned and they were like super smart uh because of how long they lived and they were able to use magic and they used science to create these, different areas like castles. So they fused magic and science together to create these abominations as well, because they experimented on people and creatures and shit, and they just had a hellscape on that world for about 10,000 years. It doesn't. I don't think it explains how it might. I haven't gotten through all the books. I think I've read two of them, and I'm working on the third one. But it doesn't really explain like, hey, how did the uprising happen? I'm probably missing it. I think it had something to do with Vampire Hunter D's father, who was like the original like king of the vampires or something, and he had a falling out or
Right.
something. But
Okay.
regardless, there was like that 10,000 years of just like hellscape on the world, and that's kind of what the breach represents. That's why I wanted this in the future. Well, the year as what is what I mean. Like the year for Daggerheart is 13,476. So that's like a
Hmm.
long time for this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I see.
And it could have been broken up into like AB before the breach or BC and just started over and everything. But I kind of like seeing that year 13,476. It's just like, wow, dude, this place has some history. This world has some sort of long fucking backstory
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
everything.
And it keeps it straightforward too. You don't
Mhm.
have to think about, was that before the breach? After, where are we at? You know,
Yeah.
just one steady pipeline of history.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where the inspiration came for, how long this world is. And also it kind of helped me um, to kind of like come up with an idea of like, hey, why did the magic system happen? Well, there's this breach that happened in 7,890, and a hellscape literally, transformed the world. During the course of this world building process, I'm gonna, make the map from Daggerheart that they gave us
Okay.
in Incarnate, just to redo it and have it colored and everything, make it look nice. But I'm also gonna do two other maps for the Shadowdark era and the D&D era because they'll be a little bit different.
Right. Okay.
So
Oh, and
sorry.
see, this is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say sorry. I'm jumping around a lot. It's just like I got
No,
ADHD
you're good.
brain. But
You're good, man.
just real quick
Um.
before we go back to the timeline, this is the map right here. They give you three of them in the playtest, which is fucking sick. It's awesome. They have a lot of little. I don't know if I can. This will look good. They have like all these little markers here, here, and here that show different places, landmarks, and shit. And all three of them are freaking connected. I need to stop swearing. YouTube doesn't like that.
They
Uh,
don't.
nah, I guess not.
No,
Um,
it's like as long as it's not within the first 10 minutes or something, right?
no,
Isn't that a thing? I don't know. I don't know.
uh, so all three maps right here, they can all connect flawlessly. So that's what I did. I'm gonna redo this in Incarnate, but like things like this, um, maybe during Dungeons and Dragons area, this was completely filled in, but something happened right here so massive that it destroyed the ground here and the surrounding area, and then the water came in and
Oh
shit.
man,
Another thing, uh, so I
I hadn't
start,
even considered that.
yeah. So yesterday I started my session 0 with for a private game, and we're going to be doing the Sablewood Messengers, which is the quick start adventure that that came with this beta. Um, and we're going to be starting right here, which is going to be the kingdom of this area is going to be the kingdom of Nareen or whatever here. Like they saw this and they're like, oh, that's a cool name, we'll take that. So this is the dawn of the Nareen, um the dawn of Nareen, and this is the whole kingdom right here. They're going to go to the Sablewood, which we placed right here. But I was looking at this map and I'm just like, what happened here? Like, was this all part of the continent? Like, did all this get smashed up somehow? Like, obviously, this part
Yeah.
right here did. And then this looks like a sunken coliseum. So I'm just like, bro, that's fucking sick. Like, what was going on in this huge coliseum right here, in this kingdom? During D&D or the Shadowdark era.
Oh
But
man. Yeah. See, I'm picturing this like three maps that are similar, but because they're in a different place and time, they're different. Kind of like when World of Warcraft released the Cataclysm expansion,
mhm.
and they went back to all the old areas that no one really uses or plays in anymore, and they redesigned them and put new quests in and all that stuff because it's like a different age, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
So it's like it's yeah, it's I'm because I'm not I wasn't thinking like, oh, the same world, but in different times it's just going to be different. Like different people live in this area than they used to, and there's a
Yes,
history about it and like
right.
all of that, which I
Mhm.
think yeah, keeping it on the same world that way, it makes sense. And I think that it helps enrich the whole thing and also keep everything kind of more organized, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I think I agree with that 100%. I think it's going to make it a lot easier in the long run,
Mhm.
playing different games because, dude, I love Dungeons and Dragons. It's like my first TTRPG. So, like,
Sure.
as long as something crazy doesn't happen, I'm probably going to play the next, playtest and shit. And then I found Shadowdark last year. Yeah, it was last year, and I have a ton of fun playing that with you guys.
Yeah.
Amber,
Shadowdark is cool.
yeah, Amber's always like, "Hey, when are we gonna play again?" I'm like, "When people want to." So, like, I'll probably live stream that if we start playing again, because that was just really fun.
Okay.
I love doing the roll tables that they provide. As far as like, hey, did you find anything? Yeah. Well, what was it? And then like, okay, cool. It was a magic item. Now we're gonna like roll 5d20s and some d8s and shit and fucking figure out what kind of magic item it is specifically. And I just thought that was
Yeah.
super cool.
Yeah, the randomness of it, the almost like it's almost got like I didn't really think about this until you mentioned that, but it's kind of got like a roguelike vibe, you know?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's pretty cool. Your character has the Scarlet Minotaur's axe now,
Oh, that's right.
and
Oh, that thing is cool.
yeah, and Amber has like the turtle armor and the
Hmm.
flaming sword.
Ready to
Oh my
rock.
gosh, yeah. But
Okay, well, uh, what do you think about breaking down these eras a little bit so we can kind of get a feel for each one, and if we have any questions that come up, we can kind of
yeah,
flesh them out a little bit.
yeah, for sure. So as you guys can see here, it's 10,890 to 12,275. Shadowdark era that happens right after the breach. The world is still like really fucked up and dark. There's a lot of abominations out in the world. People die super easily. Then at some point in 12,275, another major event, world event happens, and the world gets flooded with a lot of mana, which causes, in my mind, like mutations and stuff and new magic and shit. So we got
Hmm.
that going on. So Daggerheart will have when I start doing campaigns in this Daggerheart world, it'll have been active for about 12,001 years, you know. It'll be the current year of 13,476.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, so that era spans what, about what, 1,000 years?
What, the Daggerheart?
Yeah, from
Yeah, it's
12,000 to 13,000,
yeah, 1,201.
1,201. Yeah. Okay. So with the D&D era, that's when you were talking about like dragons were kind of running everything. They were the kings, queens.
Yeah, and as a lot of people, if you're watching this, you probably saw it in the very beginning. I had it up there for a minute, but the D&D era, at some point, these dragons start ruling all the like different races and stuff, right? So that's my big thing. That's my big thought. Like I wanted dragons because obviously it's Dungeons and Dragons, right? But like I wanted
Yeah.
it to be a little different. I didn't want them to be like, yeah, they're these super intelligent, manipulative. They could be good, they could be bad. Supreme beings that could wipe out kingdoms in a matter of like probably like 10 minutes, right? I don't want them to be like off in the cuff, just hiding out in mountains and shit. I wanted them to be like part of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted them to basically have a civil war. And I'm just like, oh dude, that'd be sick if they fought each other. That would be like huge changes to the world, the landscape and shit. And I'm just like, oh, what if it was just
Hmm.
like a territory thing and that like they were kings. So that's where that thought came from.
Oh yeah. And so I like that because dragons having a civil war is gonna affect everything and everyone, which is cool. Uh so I guess what I was thinking I was gonna try to get out of you is, what do you think would be a good cause for that civil war?
Uh Civil War. Um, I was thinking like greed. I was thinking like uh something like crept into their hearts, right?
Hmm.
And maybe this is something that can have an affliction to them. Like maybe it's something that actually happens to them physically. Not necessarily like they get weak, but like they have these like black vines or veins rather. But I don't know how that
Uh-huh.
works with scales. Hmm.
Maybe they just their scales take on like a hint of this like darker color, almost like an energy, but it's not like a magical manifestation. It is a physical manifestation. So like a bronze or like a bronze dragon would be more of like a almost like burnt. orange color,
Okay.
almost like a darker glint, like you know, like a metallic paint job
Yeah, for
on a
sure.
car.
Yeah.
You know how like just adding the metallic in with a darker tone and like the clear coat can change the way it looks a little bit. It could be something like that.
Hmm. I like that. We could get like kind of gross and dark with it and be like, what if their scales just ooze this kind of black goo, like slowly, like all their
Like really
scales.
slowly over time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you just see it like
Ooh, yeah.
slowly creeping out.
Yeah, so like every couple days they gotta go take a bath in the ocean. Or find a giant hot water spring.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, so how many different kingdoms do you think would be involved in that civil war?
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't come up with that, but we can probably figure that out now. Because I basically want, um, I don't want it to be like just any dragon, you know. I was in my mind, I was thinking friggin' the ancient dragons, the ones that become ancient dragons are the ones that become kings, right?
Huh. So it wouldn't just be a ton of them.
Yeah.
And
But of course,
do
there's
you think
lesser dragons and shit.
yeah. Yeah. And what do you think that like, you know, before the Civil War? Well, I guess here the question is campaigns that take part in that first era, are you going to want to start those campaigns before the Civil War happens?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is going to be something that is going to have to happen later on in time.
Hmm. No, I'm not gonna say like, hey, it's gonna be a long time before the Civil War. It might be things that are going on in the background, you know, because I don't want this just to be like, hey, one day this infection swept, and within 5 days everyone was killing each other. You know, I want it to be like more like, hey, what's going on with this guy? Like this dragon, this king, like he's becoming erratic, stuff like that. Like slowly over
Mhm.
time, you know, you hear things like this kingdom just attacked this kingdom for no reason. They had a peace treaty, blah 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 blah, you know, stuff like that.
So that the players can actually interact with this event while it's unfolding over time.
Yeah, and maybe
Yeah.
because of their interactions, certain dragons are kept alive,
Right. Okay, I like that.
and
I
some
think that's
dragons
really cool.
die.
And then like do I would imagine that like these dragons who are like the ancient dragons, they probably sit on a council, right? To
Hmm.
kind of govern everything
Yeah,
amongst
so
themselves.
yeah, I would see that. I would see them, the ancient ones, being surrounded by their younger generation, basically the like the younger types of dragons that they trust dearly.
Yeah.
I know. What do you think? Should it be all dragons or what?
On the council?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so I imagine the way it works is like just to throw a number out there. Let's say there's like 6 different kingdoms. So there's 6 dragons that sit on the council, right?
Okay.
And then they represent obviously the people from their their whole area. The word
Yeah.
is escaping me. Um, and then I mean, you could have so they would have probably dragons underneath them that are kind of their constituents, and then it would be the other races and people hierarchy filtered through that, right?
Yeah. So I was thinking,
That would make sense. And then you
or
just have to determine how many different kingdoms you want there to be.
yeah, or like during or the council could be made up of some dragons and the rest are different races, so that way so that way the king dragon can hear from the different people.
So there's representatives from
Yeah.
each people's.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I see that's probably a good idea because I can actually see that like okay, that each dragon might have their kingdom, right? But each kingdom will be made up of multiple peoples. It's not like, oh, this red dragon, his constituents are other younger red dragons and then drow.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's not just gonna be drow. There's gonna be humans, there's gonna be elves, there's gonna be tiefling, there's gonna be all these different races in each kingdom.
Mhm.
And each each peoples do have their own um cultures, right? So
Right.
the peoples would need representation across all the kingdoms regardless.
Yeah.
And I could see how that would actually kind of twists things in a way that where like if the humans are trying to get a certain right to something or trying to impact change somewhere, they're not only trying to impact change for their particular kingdom. I mean, they could be, but they might be trying to impact change for humans across the board, and that makes things complicated for the dragons. This is partially what forces them to have to work together.
Yeah.
And that could get a little bit complicated, but I'm just spitballing, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I I definitely like that. I want to have that sort of representation going on with the different ancestries or race. Oh yeah, D&D. I think it's races or whatever they use. Um, so the different different
Yeah, the
peoples.
peeps.
Um, Now I don't know if I want it kind of in a hierarchy similar, like kind of similar to us, where we have reps, uh, kind of in the state or in the area, and they get
Yeah.
together and they come up with a person that will be at the council with the king. You know what I'm saying? But all the races all have a voice, and all those voices
Hmm.
goes to somebody that they've all voted for, and that one
Right.
person goes to the council with the king of dragons, or the dragon king.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I dig that. I dig that. It keeps it simple. And then, so a question I had earlier: what of, if any, of these eras are canon from module and lore and like actual canon from the game worlds? Is this all homebrew?
Um, it's a good question. I think I don't know. The thing about that is like with Shadowdark, that can be thrown into anywhere. So like
Sure.
all their little adventures and shit into any world. I don't think they actually have a world that they show. Um, as far as everything else, I feel it's going to be mainly homebrew. Like we're
Yeah.
going to be making our own world. Daggerheart, though, I'm going to trust Darrington Press that they're gonna not be like Wizards of the Coast with their OGL license thing you do. All that hoopla that
What
happened.
was what was the when Wizards was trying to like kind of
Yeah,
like get their cut of people's work and content that they make around the game system?
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's
So said
egregious.
that products using the OGL, which earn over a certain amount per year, must pay Wizards a royalty fee of 25% or 20% if funded through Kickstarter. For all
I
income beyond
yeah.
that point, claim the right to use OGL content. Yada yada. Okay.
Yeah, I really doubt Daggerheart would do that, considering the circumstances and how they were probably concerned about that possibly being a thing.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe Daggerheart came from that shit. They're just like, we don't ever want to be in this position again, and
Yeah.
we don't
Well,
want
I mean,
others to either.
it either was. I mean, I it would if I was them, it would definitely have influenced me.
Yeah,
But with the timing of how Daggerheart just kind of popped out, it makes me think that they were already working on it for a while.
I'm not sure, dude. I don't know. That's like one thing. It can kind of go either way because you have so much talent, like so much talent and experience on Critical
Yeah.
Role of world building and doing shit like that. That it might just be easy for all of them to come together and be like, I really like this mechanic from this game and this mechanic from that game, which they put in their playtest. They're like, hey, we took inspirations from these systems, stuff like that. So
Yeah. Okay.
they could have came up with it pretty quickly. I do know, what was it? Cobalt Press. I think they just released their new kind of like competitor for D&D because of the OGL
Yeah.
controversy and shit. So I think that's stuff is called Black Flag. I haven't looked into it that much. Then Matt Colville released his I forget what it's called, like MCDM, MCDM, stuff. It's just a bunch of letters.
But he's got a game system coming out as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, he has. I think it's already out. So,
Oh, that's cool. That's
hmm
cool.
and that's what
I
I.
haven't I haven't watched his stuff for a while because usually was watching all of his stuff when I was DMing all the
Yeah,
time. But yeah, that guy's legit.
yeah, for sure. I like a lot of his. Like I did the same thing. Like whenever I'm DMing stuff, and I'm just like, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around this. I'll just go watch other DMs explain their shit, and I'll like
Yeah,
maybe pick up inspiration from that. Because a lot of
yeah,
times it's just like I don't know where to go for this, and maybe just some randomness would like really help me jumpstart my writer's block.
yeah. You gotta, like you said, get that inspiration from other DMs, and then you can write with advantage.
Yeah.
Sorry, terrible joke.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey, hey, Bob in virtual life. I appreciate you being here and being in the chat. If you got any ideas or thoughts or whatever you want to donate, let me know. I'll definitely read them out and we'll consider putting them in. That goes for anyone that goes to watch. But
Yeah, so I
yeah,
guess the big question here for the D&D era that you'll have to just kind of nail down is how many dragons are actually sitting on the council,
yeah.
and then how
Uh,
many races are involved in having their representatives. That's like kind of the nitty-gritty, and the rest of it is just building out from there and then working on the map. And obviously for me, when I was working on campaigns for players, that stuff I kind of would just framework. But whenever I got to actually making my maps, because I'm a very visual person,
yes,
like
yeah,
once I started making the map, that stuff all kind of came out. Starting to put things in their place and who's where and what's where. That's what helps me connect all this stuff. I don't know if that's how it works for you, but map making was like a way to get that my mind to wrap around all that stuff because it's hard for me to like just invisible mind map everything, you know?
yeah. Absolutely. I feel the same way. I want to see shit. I'll be like,
Uh-huh.
that's it. I am seeing it. I'm gonna write about it now.
Yeah, exactly.
um,
Well, let's get if you want, unless you have something else you wanted to add.
yeah. Just to wrap up this section, I just wanted to figure out what sort of physical appearance for the scales who are infected. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe darkening, and then I just want to go over the number of ancient dragons by looking at the map and seeing how big it is, and being like, all right, hey, maybe we could have like maybe more than six, maybe eight. I don't know. But
So
first,
kind of separate the map into the kingdoms that
yes,
makes sense, and then that
yeah,
determines how many dragons are on the council.
right, right.
Yep, yep. That
All right.
works. That makes sense.
So
That's exactly what I was talking about.
yeah, the greed infects the scales or infects the dragons. The scales start taking on a physical appearance. Um, yeah, maybe there is no goo. Maybe just the outline, like the outer part of the scale itself, darkens, kind of like what you're saying. So you
Yeah,
know, it's just like if the scale itself is 6 inches, then like an inch around the border, it becomes
yeah.
darker. Like it's decaying. Yeah. Okay. We cooking
Oh
now.
yeah. Okay. 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 I like
Uh,
this.
the outside. Oops. Outside of the scales start to decay, causing the color darken, and the scale to start pitting, which is like it's there's something corrosive on it and starting to pit. So it's got all these pits going on. So all right, cool. I
Uh
like
huh.
that.
Yeah.
It's good. I like. All right, now we're gonna go back to the map. Look at that beauty. How big it is.
Oh yeah.
And like you see what I'm showing right now. This map with the world floating or with the kingdom floating.
I cannot see what you see.
God dang it. Oh man. Oh wait.
We're,
You know
we
what?
will have to we will have to figure out a way to do that because I know there is a way for us to do that. I'm new to this technology, so
Yeah. I think what I need to do is share my OneNote with you, and you should be able to see it now. on the collab
Oh,
cam, maybe.
where is this? Yes.
All right, cool, cool,
Okay,
cool.
cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, so this is the map of the world, and they did a fantastic job on this. This looks so fucking awesome. But
That's
look,
really
dude,
cool. Yeah.
look at all these like perfect circles. Like, what happened? Was there some like Final Fantasy VII meteor fucking
Oh,
magic that
yeah.
happened? Why is this floating? Like, it's floating now, but it's not going to be floating in D&D in the very beginning era.
Right. Was it built on top of a giant, massive mountain?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and then like massive meteor impacts because where the water filled in, that would have been land at one point, maybe, right?
yeah. Oh, dude,
Because
zooming
they're like
in.
perfect circles. They look like impacts. Yeah.
Yeah, but do you look at this? There's something underneath here. Like, what is that? Like, this is looks like
It's
a
like a
sphere.
to the right
Oh, you can't see my
that
mouse.
like I can't see your mouse. Are you talking about that dome looking thing on the right?
It's kind of yeah, I guess so. It's underneath the actual city. It's like what it's on top
Oh,
of.
it's like stuck in the rock there.
Yeah, yeah, this part. Okay,
What in
yeah.
the
So
world?
I'm just like, what is that? So that's something that we can build in D&D and Shadowdark to figure out what this is, and that's
Hmm.
probably the reason why all this is floating.
Oh yeah. But it also looks like there's a very similar object to the right there.
Yes. Okay, I didn't see that right there. I see what you mean now.
It,
Let me.
it looks very similar, but the one that's underneath the castle is broken, it looks like.
Yeah, this one right here. There we go. Now the viewers can see. So
Hmm.
this one's right here is broken. This right here is what Zarni was talking about. So yeah, man, we gotta figure that out at some point during the Dragon or D&D era and the Shadowdark era. Like, what the fuck happened here, dude? This is like a war zone.
So yeah, in the dungeons, because this is a Daggerheart map, right? So this is going to be
Yes.
the Daggerheart era. So this is what the world looks like from those years, right? In the
Yes.
13,476, right?
Mm,
So all the way back in the years between 0 and 7,890, that would have looked completely different.
mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that we're talking thousands of years. That castle might not have even been there,
Maybe it was
depending
just a
on how
little
you want to
settlement
do it.
then. Yeah.
That's going to be cool.
Yeah, and it looks like it's in a naturally kind of mountainy area, so it's some sort of mountain town or mountain place.
I mean, it could have been where the council originally formed, or where they, like the seat of the council, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. All right. But this is the map that we're going to be using. Again, I'm going to remake it in an incarnate so that way I can, kind of zoom in easily when I'm streaming and it looks good and shit.
Yeah.
Um, but friggin' yeah, that's what we got to work with. We do need to take into mind that, stuff like I said earlier will be different. So this could be like a whole continent here. This
Mm-hmm.
whole thing, right, is all connected and it could in the past not be as broken up as it is right now. But we got a
Yeah, I
lot of
mean,
landmass.
there's a lot of landmass, but there, in the like the D&D era, during D&D, the breach, the water level could be also different too.
Oh fuck yeah! I didn't even consider that. I gotta bleep that
Yeah.
someday. I gotta stop swearing. Um, my goodness, golly gee, Zarni, friggin', you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, because global warming, bro.
Yeah, global warming. But the water, yeah, maybe it's a lot lower now. Nah, maybe it's a lot higher now. Maybe like kind of like I think what was it over in the real world? I think it was like Australia or something. They're like, hey, we found this lost continent that was just basically submerged, right? Like all the
Yeah.
thing that happened was well, it's not the only thing that happened, but it's a big deal. But the whole continent just fucking sunk lower and lower and lower until only like Australia and I think something else were showing. I can't remember
Yeah.
what the actual small little continents were.
So you could easily, if the water level is lower in the first era, you could add some islands and stuff out there if you wanted to,
Yeah, absolutely. All this
and then
shit.
push out the shorelines a little bit. on the
Mm-hmm.
different areas.
Ooh, yeah, that
That would
would
make it really cool.
be really awesome, and also do some really or set up for some really neat underwater like adventures and shit.
Mm-hmm. And like if you see on this top one here to the right of the main part of the continent, there's like a bay right there.
Mm-hmm.
That may have been a lake. There might have been a land bridge across there.
Gotcha. Yeah, for sure.
That kind of thing. So there's a lot of room to play around with however you want to do that, just depending on how much work you want to create for yourself when it comes to making these maps.
Oh no, I think that'd be super easy, man. I'm gonna make this right now, and then I'll just work backwards from that.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, that's actually probably the best way to do that.
Yeah, it'll be sick. It'll be all right. I just gotta spend a couple days learning it and doing it, and then finding some stuff to put as like little markers or tokens for some of the
Hmm.
shit. Um, but all right. So, how many ancient dragons you think? Let's just go from this area map, like the first map that's given, and then we'll go down.
Well, if you look at it kind of like, I feel like that first big top continent, that whole section down to that would be like one. And then and then on to the left, that looks like its own set of land. That might be another. And then starting from the like Crater Lake looking thing on the right bottom corner and downward, see how far down that goes.
Yeah, all the way down into the other.
All the way down to there. And then maybe though, like down around that, and then maybe this little piece off to the left, these little islands might actually still belong to that one island up top on the left. So they have influence like that kingdom right there.
Yeah. Hmm.
So like three within those two areas. I wish I could draw little lines on it and show you what I'm talking about, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, for the most part. But yeah, just so you know, like this does wrap from this side over to here, from the right to the
Oh,
left.
it's wrapped.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it's a big world.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So that would mean that this whole like Crater Lake situation is connected to this stuff on the left over here.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Okay, so that does make sense then for like this body, this massive body on the second page
Okay.
kind of comes down and wraps around, and then underneath it it's got this like band that goes across that could be and like further down that whole band between there, that big ocean part before you get down to the castle,
Yeah.
that could be a territory.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah,
up
yeah.
above that, that could be a territory. I'm thinking like probably 4 might be a good number and easy to work with. 4 or 5 if you can make it make sense with the geography.
Yeah, I say, man, that's a big kingdom though. That's like so big. I would say one for this guy up here, and then two for this thing right here. So like, this
Mhm.
section, and might maybe it'll end like right in here. And then, another kingdom here for the dragon. That's super doable. Um, but I think I'd want one right here. So that's what, one,
Uh-huh.
two, three. Maybe this will be the fourth. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna envision this all the way down already, like the castle isn't floating, and that
Yeah.
all of this is another huge landmass, and count this as
Oh,
two.
yeah.
Yeah, so one, two, three, four, five, six. So yeah, six. Six, all right.
I think 6 is fine. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll go with that.
Yeah, because especially, because we're talking about the D&D era, there's potentially going to be a lot more land in those places on top of what there already is,
Hmm.
and different geographical features. So, and geological features. Uh, So yeah, you definitely want to have enough dragons to be in charge of that much stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be
So
sick.
you're going
And
with 6.
yeah. Yeah, we're going with 6 for sure. I think that sounds really good. It's going to be like a lot of information for them, but I do want this. So you know that scripted show that I've been talking to you about off and on and shit, that's set in
Yeah.
like D&D world. I want it to be set in this world too. So it'll be set during this time, when I'm making all these jokey jokes and stuff. And
Yeah.
one thing that I was thinking about is some jokey jokes with, like cell phones or basically watching a type of YouTube, but it's all mana crystal based, right? So you have like a mana crystal phone and a mana crystal like kind of like tablet if you want to watch these like videos and shit, but it's like not necessarily videos. It's more like holograms, kind of like or moving pictures, like how Harry Potter did, with the
Yeah.
newspapers. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I want to kind of do as far as like how far advanced magic and technology has become. Like they basically entered the steampunk era, but there's no steam; it's magic crystals.
Right. And for what era did you want that to be a thing?
D&D, the yeah, there's the
For the
dragon.
dragon era. All right, because of the dragons, there's just a metric boatload of magic, right?
Yeah. Which I think that we should. Thank you, I appreciate it. Taco tacos. It is taco time. I'm not gonna eat straight. These are my lovely tacos that Bree made me. Thank you very much. Here,
Taco.
taco time. All right, so what was I saying, dude? Oh yeah, about the mana thing.
Magic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
magic.
So
So go on.
we know how mana's going to be. We talked briefly about how mana reemerges during the Daggerheart era and Shadowdark. Um, how is it just the presence of the dragons, or did they do something to bestow magic throughout the land?
Oh, either one kind of works, but a little backstory as to why I want a dragon, why I will really wanted dragons in the first campaign and the Civil War and stuff, is that Zarni and I were like spitballing some shit just to get like kind of like a frame for this, and so we know where we're going with all this, talking and planning and scheming, um,
Skaven.
scheming. I was watching I think it was the DM layer, and they're like, "Hey, world building tips. Like, where does your magic come from?" And I'm just like, "Oh fuck, what if that's a
Hmm.
thing in this world? Like, mana has to come from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like the midi chlorians or whatever from Star Wars,
Yeah,
the mitochondrias."
because like, well, okay, but like typically we have like, like your sorcerers, they have kind of this innate tapping into elements kind of thing. And then like wizards, they study magic,
Hmm.
right? And it's this whole thing. And then you have like your holy people, your clerics and your paladins, and they have their power bestowed to them by their gods, right? All these other things. Um, so the idea of mana is kind of not typically used in the Dungeons and Dragons universe.
Right.
Um,
Oh, hold on. Fun fact though, there is in the Dungeon Master Guide a alternate rule for using mana points instead of spell slots. And I thought that
really?
was really cool. Yeah. So you can have a number. You can be like, "Hey, I'm level 3. I have 12, mana points." And then, a level 3 spell would cost like 3 points or something like that.
Huh.
And I thought that was super cool because if you're fighting up against a big bad guy and you're like, dude, I just want to, use all my third level spells. Well, you're just gonna pay the points. You don't have to worry about, third level spell slots.
Interesting. I mean, it probably plays out, it kind of comes out same in the wash, right? I don't think that really mechanically changes the game that much.
I think it does because then you're able to just use all your, you can use more level 3 spells than you would have normally, I feel.
If you were willing to burn all your mana.
Yeah.
Okay, so the amount of mana points you have scales in a way that it's like, yeah, if I just want to cast fireballs all day long, I'm only going to cast a couple of them. But instead of being like, oh, I want to cast fireball and then I want to cast this, and then it's like, well, those are my 2 spell slots. They're gone.
Right, exactly. And I think that's super awesome for clerics too when they're like, "Hey, I just want to fucking sling some fucking guiding bolts. That's all I want to do in this fight." Because no
Yeah.
everyone's okay. And then, they'll be able to do cure wounds or healing word later, but like they don't want to go through all their spell slots, their number ones, and then have to use their other spell slots for a level 2 healing word, you know what I'm saying? So instead of
Oh,
saying like, "Hey, 1 point for fucking healing word," now it's like 2 or 3 points because it's a
right.
different
So
spell
so you've
slot.
you've you've exhausted all your level 1 spell slots, right? And you want to heal somebody, but you don't want to upcast it, but you're forced to because all you have is level 2 spell slots.
Yeah,
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to play test that at some point. I didn't even realize that was a thing. I haven't looked at the Dungeon Master's Guide in forever.
I haven't either, and I don't know why because it has so much good information in it. Like in preparation for these videos, I cracked it open. Where is it? Oh, like I cracked it open, and dude, I have all these tabs in here for all this stuff later
Uh-huh.
on in the book, and I'm just like, well, that's cool. Like poisons, so I can know different types of poisons, how much they cost and shit. um, Optional rule on flanking, handling mobs, using minis and stuff like that. But in the beginning, dude,
Mhm.
it talks about like, hey, what kind of fucking what kind of disasters? Sorry, I'm fucking stupid. I can't say words sometimes.
Are you
Uh,
trying to say cataclysm?
yeah, cataclysmic. There it is. I
Ah,
used it.
yeah, yeah.
I can read English. They have this table on here for being like, hey, roll a d10 and see what happens. And some of them are like, hey, earthquake, famine, fire flood, the kind of normal stuff. And then like rain of
Yeah.
fire, divine judgment, stuff like that. So they have these like little tables in here for your world building. They also give examples of faction ranks,
Mhm.
kingdoms. They go through the different types of kingdoms, the realms, and everything. And reading it, I was just like, oh fuck, you know what? I never really used the astral planes for anything, but the way that it sounds in here, it's
Yeah.
really cool. That's where the Gets Yankee fucking hang out. Did you know that?
Yes.
No
I
shit.
did know that.
I didn't know that at all, dude. I thought I was just
But I
like,
don't
oh, they
know
must
anything
be.
else about it. I don't know what it like. Can you breathe there? Does it rain? I don't know.
Dude, they don't ever get hungry. They don't ever get thirsty in the astral plane. I learned this today, actually. And also, they live on this floating what looks to be like part of a corpse, which was a dead god. They live on a dead god, flying through the
What?
astral plane. Yeah,
So is that why they have to ride dragons? Because they're living on a floating dead god?
yeah, dude. I guess.
Bro, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but also this gives me like different forms of government that we can be using. That's
Mhm.
kind of already done. But what I also appreciate is the size of settlements. So they got a village population up to 1,000, town population usually is up to about 6,000 people. And then they also talk about the government, the defense that would happen, commerce, and organizations in the village, town, and then also the city.
See, there's like very specific basic information in the Dungeon Master's Guide, and then I think that because most of the information you need to run a game is actually in the player's handbook,
Right.
DMs don't end up really cracking into their DM guide very often, but there's like a ton of stuff in there that's like really,
Yeah.
really helpful.
How to improvise damage.
It's not just a cool artwork book. I
Dude,
should probably
yeah,
look
I
at mine
know.
again. It's been a minute. But I think when it comes to me running a game, I don't know if I wanted to run 5e. I really want to try to rewrite and recapture a homemade game that a buddy of mine used to run
Mhm.
called Space Marines, where you're taking contracts, you're doing Space Marine stuff, right? But the way the XP system worked was you got experience, but you didn't level up. You used your experience as a currency to design your own technology to make yourself more powerful.
Oh,
So like
cool. Yeah.
I was working, and he would make us like draw it out. Like this is how it would work, and there would be this capacitor. That's how the plasma charges, and like you would have to convince him that this thing
Oh,
was
dude.
what
Yeah,
it
that's right.
in a science fiction world that it would be a real thing. Like because I was working on like a Gatling plasma rifle,
Yeah.
you know, and then he would determine how much experience would be required for you to actually build it, and then you'd obviously have to like buy resources with your other currency and stuff like that and trade to get the things to make it and then use your experience to outfit yourself with something. Or if you wanted to make like a modification to your spacesuit, right? Like if you wanted like little wrist rockets that popped out, pew pew, you can shoot rockets at people with them or something like that. You just design it and that's what you spent your experience on. You didn't really gain levels. And it
Yeah, I
was really
remember.
cool.
I remember you mentioned that a long time ago, and I'm like, dude, that's fucking sick. I like stuff like that, dude. I think it's really neat. The
Yeah.
problem is just not enough time and people to play games like that.
I know. It's hard. Even with the technology we have to be living in different places and time zones and still play together. I think sometimes it makes it more complicated because of the time zone thing, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, as adults it's a lot harder.
Absolutely,
Is
dude.
That's why I couldn't keep games going to high level because when you're a kid it's easy because you don't have to put a lot of work into the game because everybody's just a bunch of murder hobos that wants to find treasure and it just kind of writes itself.
Yeah.
And then but as an adult you want to get really nitty gritty and it takes a lot of work and then you have to try to get people's schedules to line up and people's schedules aren't always going to be the same forever. So it's kind of tough to keep it together.
Yeah. It sucks. We run into that a lot with our game that's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Lost Mines of Fandelver. Um,
Well, oh yeah, I'm not gonna say anything because it's probably not up, huh?
uh,
No spoilers. No spoilers. We're not allowed to talk about it.
no, we can allude to some things if you want to. If you want to
Right.
like mention stuff, because I was gonna drop a pretty spicy thing, a bit of information.
Oh well, then I want that information. I might need that information.
Oh no, you already know this. As is for everyone
Oh,
else.
okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I forget where we were going with this conversation though, which really sucks. But I was going to talk about our current campaign. What's going on? The fucking schedule sucks because people are in
Hmm.
different time zones and work and everything. Um, but that really sucks because of the story. Oh, that's where I was going with this. That's what I'm trying to do with you guys' campaign is I'm trying to get you to a high level.
Yeah.
That's the goal. If you guys get there is one thing. I know one character that is not going to get there because they died. And it's just, oh man, that's gonna be rough editing that because I was really stressed running that session, and you can tell because
Really?
I'm playing with my beard and my mustache, and I'm just like, oh my
Yeah.
god, dude, am I gonna TPK them, dude? Like, what the fuck,
Oh
man? I need
no.
to get out of here, man. I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing,
No, it was stressful as hell.
dude? I
I was
know.
telling, like, on my way home, telling my lady about what we were in the middle of, and like she was getting stressed out about
Yeah,
it. She's like, "What are you gonna do?" I was like, "Well, I could, like, I could do this, or I could do this, but that might happen." And I'm like, I give her like 12 options,
yeah,
and I'm like, "But I don't know which any of them are any good." Like,
yeah,
oh
dude.
yeah, no, but I love that campaign. I like how we can flip that module up on its head.
Oh, 100%, dude. Like you guys were just like, yeah, that's cool. We're not gonna do that though. You know? Oh my god.
Oh man, yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
You players are always gonna do what players do.
yeah. But why we started talking about this is because like I do want to get you guys to like a high level, like level 20. Like I have bullet points of some major things that are gonna happen. I just don't know who's going to actually get to see it and be a part of
Right,
it now. But these are like
right.
fixed points in time in your campaign, and it's just gonna be fucking nuts.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so I'm just gonna recap a little bit about this first area. I guess what we could do is like, we can start breaking down each era next time we get together to talk about these things
Yeah.
and try to flesh them out a little bit more. But I'm linking here: dragons are kings, corrupted by the greed, right? And that the greed is going to be somehow be the cause of the civil war. I mean, there's going to be probably a defining moment in there where something snaps and all
Oh,
hell breaks loose. You know?
yeah.
Do you have an
So,
idea for that?
yeah, I do. I'm sorry. Because going back to the Dungeon Masters guy, dude, when I was talking about the astral plane, I started going off that tangent. But why I started on that is because I feel like this is how the greed comes into the world, into this world, and why and how it affects the dragons is that there's somehow the astral plane touched this realm, and now there's been some things that saw that, and now they're coming through.
Oh, ooh, like a multiverse collision.
Yeah, something like that for sure.
Interesting, spooky. Okay, I like that. I like that. I'll take a little notey note. I like that.
Yeah.
What this would be? Uh, right, the mortal realm, right?
Yeah, the mortal realm.
Cool. Well, because I gotta get going here in a minute. But
Okay.
so what I guess we could do is think about that a little bit, and then for next time, let's start thinking about what's going on during the breach,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
if you're gonna run campaigns in the breach or not. If so, like um what system do you want to use, or did you want to use all of them, like you kind of said?
Yeah, I don't know. I
This
think if it comes
could be
up,
complicated.
yeah, I think if it comes up, dude, I'll play it in whatever suggested system at the time. Like if the people are like, "Hey, we want to play during the breach, but we don't want to play Daggerheart. We want to play Shadowdark or D&D." And it is what it
What
is.
if the breach is a timeline that all the other eras have the ability to time travel to for various reasons, to like go seek something out from the past or go seek something out from the future, right? But it's just a fucking terrible, horrifying place. It's kind of, maybe, because it is a timeline, so it would be time travel. It's not like they're just
Yeah.
taking a portal to another dimension. It would be time travel.
Okay.
I don't know. That
I,
gets kind of weird,
yeah.
but it's an option, and it could be really fun to mess with.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. I mean, we could easily say like from the astral plane, touching this world and this breach that allows this breach. Then there's a ripple effect across the timeline somehow.
I'm just gonna write time travel question mark. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna run an Avengers game, fucking in Daggerheart.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that could be really fun. And maybe complicated. I
Hmm.
don't know. But there's no real hard rules on time travel anyways, because nobody really knows how to do it. So
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be too spicy.
correct. And we could explore that at some point. We'll probably have to make an NPC that is from a crazy time or maybe a different timeline, something like that. Maybe
Okay,
where
yeah.
hey, maybe where the breach never happened and it just kept going. Maybe he's from,
Oh.
13,476, but the breach never happened. So it's fucking completely
Oh.
different.
Oh. Oh my god. Yeah. I like this. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Now you got me thinking.
Oh, man. Additional stuffs. Alternate timelines without the breach. Time travel. Is that bad? Ah, there we go.
That breach never happened. That's good, dude. I like the way you think.
Yeah. Um, sometimes I have good ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I love doing this shit with like you, like when Eric, before Eric ran his campaign that he's doing right now, like me and him would like kind of spitball some stuff, and I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, but what about this? And then he'd be like, no, because of that, and then that would make me think of something, and I'd be like, oh, here's a perfect thing, and we'd both get excited about it, and then he would do the same
Yeah.
thing, right? And
Yeah.
it's great to kind of like bounce shit off of each other. I'm just like, I didn't even think about that. And maybe it could be. And that would be really fun for a certain group of people that want to do this sort of adventure, a time travel thing.
No, it's good to talk it out. Like that's why anytime any one of you guys pops into Discord and you're like, I was thinking about doing this, or you ask me like, what do you see for your character? What do you want for your character? Whenever we have those kinds of
Yep.
conversations, there's always a good idea that comes up out of it.
Yeah,
Or
for sure.
sometimes I'll just say something and Vaughn will be like, oh yeah, and he'll just start taking notes. Like after we're done playing for the night, I'll say something. I'm like, oh, what if? And it's usually not something that's going to benefit me.
Yeah.
And then he'll be like, oh, okay. And he starts
Yeah.
writing stuff down. I'm like, oh no, what had I done? But yeah, cool, man. Been thinking about the breach. That sounds really fucking interesting. But I do have to get ready for work, so I'm gonna have to bounce out.
All right. And that is where we will end the stream. I hope everyone had a good time, like listening to us ramble. Um, we're gonna be trying to do this every Thursday at 7:30. What do you say there, Zarn?
Yeah, I'm down for that.
All right, cool. That'll be our schedule. I'm gonna be honest. Really enjoyed this more than. Well, I can't say that. I really love Remnant 2. I enjoyed
That was
Remnant
fun.
2 gameplay too, but I enjoy this just as much as playing video games. So and this would be
Absolutely, it's
very
fun.
beneficial. And maybe you can kind of think of a character idea that an NPC in this world, but that's a cool character idea for you.
You mean as an NPC?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, hey, maybe we're creating NPCs, and you're like, oh, that sounds really cool. I wish I could play a character like that. And then you have your next character kind of planned out and shit.
Because in a different era,
Yeah,
an NPC in this era could be a character in a different one.
it could be. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, dude. This is getting wild
Oh, we can
already.
start talking about reincarnation, dude.
Yeah, bro, this shit, we gonna do everything.
Fuck yeah, dude. Let's go big. All right. Thank you everyone for watching us. We really do appreciate it. Please leave any ideas that you would like to donate, any advice, stuff like that down in the comments below. We hope to see you next Thursday when we continue on and basically go over some information that we have written down for each of the eras already. And I think I'm feeling pretty good about the D&D. We might go to the Breach next and talk about that. Flesh that out some more than what we have written down. So hope to see you next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And other than that, I just hope you take care of yourself and each other. And I look forward to hearing from you in the future. You got anything you want to say before we sign off?
Oh yeah. As always, if you have the opportunity to do something nice for somebody today, take advantage of it. I'll see you later.
Bye.